Right. So how did the process start of writing Woven?
Well, it's not about writing it. That's not the important bit. The important bit is in my opinion, the important bit is having the guts to fucking show the song that you've written to somebody else. And I remember coming, why you, what?
I'm just listening, so
No,
just
you're
go.
thinking something.
No.
You're thinking that this cunt is chatting so much shit.
I'm a little bit nervous about what you're about to say.
No, I don't.
So
I'm not talking no more. Everyone's nervous. I can tell.
No, come on.
No, no, no.
You're on the right path.
Yeah.
Just open your
Just
mouth.
go with full gusto, like it.
Yeah, but I'm doing that.
Yeah, I'm
But then you're just going like
No,
this.
no, because I'm deep in thought about what's about to happen, and also a little bit scared, so I'm trying to hide my fear.
Whoa,
Let's go.
I can lie. Should I lie?
No, tell the truth.
All right. So, I turned up to Ranj's place, right? Because we used to do music a couple of times a week, sharing tunes and all that. And I'm not sure if it was the first. It was after Dragon and all that, wasn't it? Or during, or simultaneously?
It was after Dragon and Bomb. It was the third song, wasn't it?
Yeah, right. So I had shared Dragon and Bomb with Ranj, and then
Well, you'd shared it before that.
before that,
And then Tom left the band.
yeah, Tom left and all that jazz, right? But
Just to be clear, you need to hold the mic when you speak.
yeah, right. Why don't you just come closer to my lips? Right. Why do you want to be close to me? I don't understand.
It's 35 degrees outside. So.
Right. Fucking, you did ruin my story. I don't like this.
I know. Just go.
Alright,
again.
so-
Go again.
Right. How did Woven come about? Right, is the question you're asking.
How did Woven come about?
So we had been working on a few songs before that. So I had shown Ranj, Dragon and Bomb that I'd written, shared it with him, loved it, wicked. And then I remember turning up to Ranj's place just to do some music, nothing on the agenda, that thing. And he goes, "Oh, why don't you listen to this? I've written a song." I said, "All right then." And I remember we didn't have two headphones, I don't think, back then. So and we were working off a Zoom 8-track. So I remember plugging it in. So I've got headphones in now, and we used to listen to everything fucking full whack as well. And I remember this guitar playing. I thought, oh, that's interesting guitar. Sounds a bit out of tune though, but happy days, right?
Standard ranch.
Yeah, and then the vocals kicked in. Oh, it's interesting melody that. Oh no, well it started off with interesting melody that, and then the backing vocals started coming in, right, all over the gaff, and there was loads of vocals, and it's the first time we've ever messed around with vocals, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean we'd
In that fashion.
yeah, it's the first time we'd really layered vocals like that before. Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you haven't listened to Woven yet, it's basically how I like to describe it as an orchestra of vocals coming in. And I always imagined the vocals being there in place of an orchestra, basically. So in my mind, it was always a string section doing the vocal part.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it's like when you listen to a new song, you don't know whether you like it or not because you haven't heard it yet, right? And just going through it, and towards the end of it, I was like sold, basically. And I didn't know what to make of it because it's such a different song. And I remember you are saying, well, what do you want to add to it? What can you add to it? And I genuinely thought, well, it definitely doesn't need drums.
Yeah.
Right? I ruled that out straight away personally. And then I thought, you know what? I just think it's quite a beautiful song as it is. So why dilute it with like extra shit, basically? Like surplus stuff. And anyone who knows me, it's like everything needs to have a fucking reason.
Mm-hmm.
Every second of music needs to have a purpose. And I thought if I put bass or lead on top, it's just going to dilute that whole vocal element of the song.
I think that's something that's always been in this band, isn't it? It's not about, oh, I've got to get my bit in there.
Nah.
It's always what's most important for the song.
Yeah, song is king.
Ranj, where did it come from?
Firstly, the guitar wasn't out of tune because that recording is what you hear.
No way, really?
Yeah. So it wasn't out of tune.
That's the original demo.
Yeah. Well, back then it was just us two. So like,
Well, back then,
as
whatever
soon
was recorded,
that's it. We just
you have to work around that, innit?
yeah, you got to work around that. So it was that is what you hear now. Even the vocals
The vocals were done.
Yeah, that is the original vocal.
That was the
right?
original vocal.
Shit.
All the vocals.
All the vocals were done.
How many
Uh,
vocals are there? Would you say
Oh fuck.
roughly? 10, 20?
6.
I mean, I reckon about 20 different
wow.
vocal
Wow.
parts on that song. I'm not sure if we used them all. But you could definitely hear it in the recording, and nothing's been muted. Like, we did a hell of a lot of recordings where we just had so much time on our hands.
Yeah.
So we did so much to every song. But Woven was one of our quicker ones, wasn't it?
Is that a blessing or a curse? Looking back,
Blessing out my mind.
do you think?
Yeah, we were just when we were recording before that with the band, we were just working at pace and just things were getting done. When it was just
To interject there, when we were in the band, it was like, oh, I'll do the drums, you do the vocals, like, not even the pitching with songwriting back then, innit?
Mm.
And it was right, and you do the lead, and that was it. And we couldn't step on each other's toes because that's not your department.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it was just the doors were fucking blown open, and it's like, right, what shall we do?
So was that like the first time you felt really liberated as like songwriters or musicians, or was it quite liberating doing that song?
I wouldn't say just that song.
Yeah, because we had done 2 songs before that, right? In Bob and Dragon.
Mm.
We had no ambition at that time. It was like the band was over. We were just doing it for the love of it,
Yeah.
and we were just trying to sound like the Beatles or Radiohead. There was just no. We were just doing it for the love of the game, really, back then. And,
What about?
But it was the first time, if being honest, right, is there was no egos there.
Mm.
It was like I felt that when we were in the band before, there was always that ego. Fucking, I got to do my part, right? And nobody better tell me what to do because this is me.
Yeah.
And the conversations were always like a bit exclusive or excluding somebody or whatnot.
Yeah.
Whereas here we're working on every element together.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So even when I had the guitar in my hand, I couldn't have done it without sitting next to Ryan and saying, oh, what do you reckon of this? What do you reckon of that? And then I don't know how to work an amp. So you were doing all the...
He was sat really close to. I just remember, so vocals are there, guitar parts are there. We'd be sat around this. The funny thing is, we had an iMac, we had Logic Pro and all that, but we'd still be using this 400 quid 8-track and recording through that, and then transferring it one track by track into this Logic, into the iMac, and we'd still be sat around this Zoom, and Saab would,
right next to each
Saab, yeah, we'd be sat next to each other. Saab would be sat on top of the amp with the guitar in front of him. I'd be there twiddling the knobs on.
between my legs, basically.
That's standard.
I mean,
It's
that's
like I'm sat there,
that's
and he's
not.
like, oh, I need a bit of
It's not too far from the truth, to be fair. And
the pedals on your table, right?
I'd be twiddling the pedals and messing around with the amp sounds and pressing record, and then Saab would be playing the other instruments, and then
and talking gibberish to each other. I'd be like, Ranj,
is that all right? Is that all right? Is that all right, Ranj? I don't know, man.
I need the
What do you
stars.
think?
Give me the
The
stars,
stars,
Ranj.
the stars need to come out. What about if you do that? And then we just record it and then layer it and layer it and layer it.
Yeah.
And then I'd spend the rest of the night just trying to mix it. The next morning, the next day, I'd send him a mix or something. Then we'd analyze it. 2 days later, it'd come back again. We'd do the same thing again. And that was it. It never really finished, did it? That song.
No. And it was the ultimate. Look, we've got fucking hour. It's a 4-minute song. The bass line is only going to take about 8 minutes. And then you're there 4 weeks later. Trying to. Well, no, actually, that's an exaggeration, isn't it? It always got done.
I mean, the truth is, we probably finished that song in 2 days.
Yeah.
But we spent
We fucked around in it.
3 or 4 months fine tuning,
Yeah.
and then went back to the original one that we did like 2 weeks earlier.
What's the song about?
Read the story, Tom.
I
don't know. I don't know really. I don't know. It
Yeah,
just
you do.
there's just I think it's an outpouring of things that came out in the aftermath of the band. So there's a whole bunch of lyrics there that just talk about a whole bunch of things. To be honest, I felt like I lost my mojo after the band. I didn't know how to write. I didn't have a job. The band was going to be my full-time job and all that kind of stuff. So when the band finished, yeah, I think the song is just an outpouring of, oh shit, everything just came flooding out. And it's all there in the song. But also it's quite a joyous song because it's the first time I think we actually tried to realise the full song is in its entirety, regardless of who wrote it. We were just trying to get all of the song out and realise its potential.